thanks for joining us today. I'd like to say that today's a special day. Today is a day that so I'm Matt, I'm Diane's son.
I'm Caroline, I'm her daughter.
And, we just want to say thank you for joining in this celebration. I know that my mom was a pretty incredible and special person. And I think that everybody that shows up today is a really good kind of evidence that she really had an incredible impact on a lot of people's lives. Today for me is just an opportunity to honor my mom, honor your friend, honor your sister, and honor your best friend. And I think it'd be remiss for me to not speak to the fact that we were here a year ago, and it's been a tough year. And that's okay. That's okay. So our hope today is to just celebrate Mom. If you'd like to say something, to the group, a story you'd like to share or a memory that you'd like to talk about, we would appreciate that. We do have a microphone that works, and we have some treats. We have beverage service. Thank you for everyone for bringing the children's books to donate. That's quite a special gesture, and something that my mom would be incredibly proud of, or that I do believe that my mom is proud of. I will start by just sharing a little bit about my mom. One of the things that I think my mom was the most incredibly skilled at was expressing love in a variety of ways, and that she was very attentive and mindful to how others received love. I want to, you might be familiar with the love languages between partners, and I think my mom was just incredibly skilled at expressing love in a variety of languages. For me personally, my story is, one of the things that my father passed on to me was a love and a passion for preparing food and sharing food with my loved ones, and that was kind of my love through acts of service. But I often have my love tank filled through words of affirmation, and my mom, recognized that as well as anyone. And it was just a few months ago that I was hanging out with my children and my mom, and it was time to eat lunch. And we were pressed on time, didn't have much in the fridge, and so we decided to make grilled cheese. And I remember my mom sitting at the table, and she takes, 2 bites of grilled cheese, and she had some incredible, just gourmet meals prepared for her from my dad. And my mom is eating her grilled cheese, and she takes a moment, pauses, and expresses how, it's the best grilled cheese that she's ever had. And I won't make a joke about it being cheesy, but she meant it, and she recognized, and she's recognized from my whole life that, my love tank is filled by those words of affirmation. That she recognized that just making a grilled cheese for my children and my mom was one way that I communicate my love for them. So, she was a special lady, and I just want to say thanks again. So that's what I got.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for being here. thank you for the love that and community that has surrounded her and us. My mom had just uncanny ability to build and hold on to friendships. I think a lot of people are lucky to have, to count on one hand the close friends that they have. And my mother, had that tenfold. And every relationship was individual and unique and special to her and to that person. The help that we received while she was sick, the support that she received after her dad passed, it's just been so beautiful and so overwhelmingly welcomed. So, my voice is not that loud.
That's for Mama.
Yeah. Liked the train. And just part of today is also expressing that thanks to those friends and to this community. This has been incredibly difficult, and it has been a very challenging year for our family. One of the things that has helped me is the spectrum of it all. This is so very hard because it was so very good. The love that we had for her and that she had for us was something that was so beautiful, and it makes it a lot harder. But we're really lucky, and I know a lot of you feel lucky to have had her in your life, and I feel lucky that we got to share her with all of you. My mom had a family connection that I try to honor every day through my children. And yeah, I'm sorry. I thank you all for being here. We're really happy to have you, and I really do appreciate this opportunity to honor her and honor you in return for what you gave to her lives also. So thank you.
Did I ask everybody to sign the guest book?
Yes, and there's a guest book too.
So we have a guest book that we'd love for everyone to sign, share a message. That would be a nice gesture. And and so if you'd like to share anything, you may. If you'd like to just socialize, this is organic and free form and no real expectations. Just thankful that you're here. Thanks. Want a microphone?
So I have prepared notes, but they still won't be as eloquent as Caroline. My name's Katrina, and I am lucky enough to be Diane's little sister. She would have killed me for saying little sister. Big sister, maybe. I'm lucky enough to say Dianne is my sister, although I will say there are so many of you here who could say the same. Dianne cultivated and nourished a family wherever she went. There's so much to remember and to share, but since Dianne was an educator for so many years, I'll stick with what I learned from her. Throughout our relationship, Dianne taught me these universal truths by her example. So spoiler alert, right? Universal truths, nothing special here except that she did this. Family first, always learn, just love. When I was a toddler, I got to share one room and 2 twin beds with my 2 sisters, Dianne and Donna. Gail was an older sister by a couple of years, so she got her own room, although much smaller, in her own bed. I slept with Dianne and Donna, I think equally, I'm not really sure. I was pretty little. They'd always ask who I loved more. Competition was inherent in my family. Dianne worked at Mr. Donut and had a uniform to wear to work, the things you remember when you're like really little. And I think she worked housekeeping at a hotel too. I'd have to ask Eileen. But you know, again, those 5-year-old memories might not be so reliable. There were 7 kids at home, which meant a lot of lap sitting for me as the youngest. Dianne and her best friend Eileen, Eileen Houston, but that hasn't been her name for more years than her married name has been her name. We're together a lot, and I think growing up together, their eyes and their smiles must have been contagious because they're so loving and fun and joyful. And those memories of those smiles and laughters were very comforting and safe when you're a young child. And I was always happy when I was around Dianne. And I think that's part of the reason why, as a kindergarten teacher, she was just so fabulous. Besides, like a name like Paradis, how could you not be like the most fabulous kindergarten teacher ever? After college, Dianne headed to California. When I turned 10, Dianne invited me to come visit, and every 2 years after that, she and Jim opened their home for me to stay. Some years it was just a 10-day visit, and other years it was for a couple of months. And I got jobs waiting breakfast tables here in Carp. And you know what 20-something wants a younger sister to stay, but Dianne did. My brother Ron came out here for a while too. Change of venue, change of friends, a change on the outside in hopes it would help to make some changes on the inside. Didn't necessarily work, but Dianne stood by my brother Ron and loved him no matter what. Family first. So Dianne's 3,000 miles away, but had these deeply rooted connections with her parents and her siblings, and especially my dad. She reminded me of the time that Dad raised a baby hummingbird that he kept in the light socket in our kitchen. I'm not sure how he kept 7 kids from not turning on a light, but it happened. Actually, it was probably my mother who did that part. And this was just one of so many stories Dianne had of growing up and of my dad especially. And she valued their connection and continued to strengthen it. Daughters and dads. It was important to her. She treasured it. Caroline had this with Jim, and my daughter has it with her dad. Moms too. After all, Caroline's named after my mom, and her baby's named after Dianne. Matt had a special relationship with my dad. I don't know how Dianne did this. She was 3,000 miles away. Families live in the same town and grow apart. Through letters and phone calls and photos and genes. Matt is an educator like his mom, like his granddad. Pure love and commitment to assist people to be their best selves, and an inherent love of this natural world, its beauty and its rhythm, always learning. Autumn was Dianne's favorite time of year. Autumn in New England is spectacular. And in the early days, Dianne and Jim would plan visits back east around the fall. The change in the light in October is the signal for the birds to migrate. And I'm not surprised that Dianne and Jim were pulled by the change of the light. The invisible wind carries the leaves in New England, sometimes in these swirls, and sometimes just this gentle movement in the corner of your eye that you see. Just because you can't see something doesn't mean it isn't there. It's just love. To Dianne. Thank you all.
Well, I don't know who could follow those three. I really wish I did write something down. I think Dianne and I have been friends since we were 9 years old when she moved to the area that I lived in, and we started 4th grade together. Somehow we, over all those years and miles and life and challenges, remained incredible friends. And I think it's probably more a tribute to her than me, even though I know I was the person that drew her to Santa Barbara to begin with. I can't think of anyone except my husband and my children and my sister that loved me more, and that was always that really true friend. Like, there was no competition, there was no falling away, there was no jealousy. It was always admiration and propping up and just pure love, and that really was her. And I would admit that for so long that could have been taken for granted. I was super fortunate to have been told when Dianne was really ill this time, and got to be with her through the hospice. And I can't say enough about what Caroline and Matt have done here with the year they've had, and I hope that in some small way that I let them know they were supported, and clearly all of you are. So I told Caroline when Dianne was obviously not going to get well again that I thought we were going to grow old together, and then I joked that I guess we did, but I meant like old, like decrepit, and but totally forever grateful for her friendship, and I love her kids and her grandkids so much. And I think it would be great if maybe, I don't know, it's corny, but if everybody could hold hands or give energy to Caroline and Matt to let them know how held up and supported they are by the beautiful relationships that both of her parents, and I know this is for Dianne, that they created, and how loved you are. That's it. That's all I got. I love you.
if anyone else would like to say anything, we'd love to welcome you. No pressure.
Hi, I hope I can. I wrote something out. I'm not usually one on short on words, but I knew I would be today. It would be difficult. Dianne was so much more than a colleague to me, and as we built this beautiful friendship that meant the absolute world to me. And she became to me a friend, a mentor, a support, and just anything. The words aren't enough. She just became anything you could envision that you would want in someone who was by your side. She was an amazing listener. She kept me in check. A lot of my colleagues are here. They know me well. Dianne kept me in check. She kept me focused on the big picture. She kept me in tune to what was important. She agreed. We were so much alike in how we saw things and how we what we loved, what annoyed us, what bothered us. She always used to say we were so much alike and just in what we did. For years, I would have missed so many meetings and work events if it wasn't for Dianne. She had this incredible ability to know how many days until such and such event. And when she retired, I said, what am I gonna do? And she said, don't worry. And honestly, up until the very end, she was still telling me how many days I had until things. She really did. She always wanted to learn, always. And we talked about that so much, about the changes in education and just in the world. And up till the very end, visiting her, she would come to me and say, tell me what new things you've learned. And she always wanted to know what I was studying and what I was finding out about teaching and how to better support students. And I just love that. There's not a day that goes by that on multiple times throughout the day I don't say, oh, I have to tell Dianne. Oh, I can't wait to tell Dianne. I have to call Dianne. And then I stop myself. I miss her smile and her laugh. I miss her head popping in and saying, hey. I miss sitting in her yard by her plum trees and talking over a cup of tea. I miss our walks, talks at her kitchen table with Jim. I miss our night phone calls. After she retired, we would recap the day. I miss sharing our love of books. But most of all, I miss laughing until we almost cried, or we did cry. And I miss hearing her say, I love you so much.
Hi everyone, my name is Ollie. I'm Matt's brother-in-law. It's crazy to think we were here about a year ago for Jim. I came up and I said a few words when we were here for Jim, and one of the things that I regretted when Jim passed away was not spending enough time with him, not telling him that I appreciated him, and that I appreciated the love that he showed me in a really hard time. And over the past year, because of that, I made a strong effort to tell the people in my life that I loved them, I cared about them, and that I appreciated them. And a month before Dianne passed away, we were on a trip and we were passing by Carpinteria, and my wife and I both looked at each other and were like, we should stop by. We should stop by and say hi. We're here, you know, we might as well. And so we stopped, and we had the baby with us, and we got out, and Diane's face just lit up as soon as she saw the baby, and she got to hold her, and I took a picture just on a whim because they both looked so happy looking at each other, and it's one of my favorite photos that I have. And one of the things that we talk about in our family is that anytime there's a hummingbird in our window, it's Jim saying hi to us. And every time there's a hummingbird, and it's Jim saying hi to her. And now, every time I look at her smiling face, I will think of Dianne always, and that photo that we took. It was just, she was an absolutely incredible woman, and I very much appreciate everything that she did for us. So, thank you, Dianne.
So I can't think about Dianne without remembering the sparkle in her eye. And she lives on in your eyes and that place. Yeah, love you. One thing that I had wanted to say, and my mom was quite a fighter in other ways too. This wasn't her first go around with cancer, and she had been such a fighter, but she had my dad with her, and his support and his love. And for as much as, Mom was ill with cancer at the end, I think it is very evident that in many ways my mother died of a broken heart. And I think that's beautiful in some ways. Their marriage, their partnership, their love was so connected and intertwined that it was hard to live without him. And I don't know what's out there, but I do know that I really love the idea of them together. And Mom just couldn't wait to see him. So it's hard, but it's really beautiful too. So I think that's something to be noted. Anyone else is welcome.
As one of the many parents in town that their children have been forever touched by Dianne, I wanted to say thank you to her and for everything that she did for our kids. I think it was about 2 years before we got to Canalino that we started to hear the scuttlebutt of the kindergarten teacher you wanted to get was Miss Paradis. And it, sending your kids off to big elementary school for the first time is such a huge transition for everyone. And I know my daughter was,
she's come out of her shell and everything, but Dianne really helped her to do that. She was a very different child going into kindergarten, and I'm sure that Dianne helped so many children to, find their place in the world and find their place at Canalino. And I remember when you get to meet the teacher for the first time, and maybe it's the first conference or something, what are your goals for your child this year? And I said, it'd be great to have her learn, to kind of learn to read a little bit or something would be really, really neat. And she just looked at my wife and I, and she said, I am really good at teaching kids to read. Don't worry, she'll be fine. I guarantee you she'll be reading by the end of the year. And absolutely, she did that. She was, to us, it was just such a pleasure to have her. And I know I'm speaking for hundreds and hundreds of parents in town when I just say thank you. And, she really touched our lives. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Mary Watts. I did not have the pleasure of knowing Dianne as long as you, even though she lived 3 houses down from me for over 30 years. It seemed like we kept crossing paths. They left Lou Grant Parent-Child Workshop just when we came, and my kids were not in her class, and so we didn't really meet each other very well. I got to know Dianne till just more of the last year. We were in the Tai Chi class together and gym together, and especially we had a group of women that had lost their husbands in town. There's a lot of you are here that know me, and we're in some of these groups. And I'm a little envious that I didn't know Dianne as well as a lot of you, but I certainly appreciate her just as much as you do. And I had a little poem, and you're talking about missing her husband, which we had heard a lot. And this poem, I think, is appropriate. I'm standing on the seashore. A ship at my side spreads his white sails to the morning breeze and starts for the blue ocean. He is an object of beauty and strength, and I stand and watch him until he hangs like a speck of white cloud just where the sea and sky come down to mingle with each other. Then someone at my side says, "There he goes." Gone where? Gone from my sight? That is all. He is just as large in mast and hull and spar as he was when he left my side, and just as able to bear his load of living freight to the place of destination. His diminished size is in me and not in him. And just at that moment, when someone at my side says, "There he goes," there are other eyes that are watching him coming, and other voices ready to take up the glad shout, "Here he comes." Thank you, Dianne.
I don't think I need this. I have a teacher voice. I was Dianne's student teacher 23 years ago, and then I had the pleasure of being her colleague for a good 10 years, teaching right next door to her. I could do this in front of 5-year-olds. She was such an incredible mentor, and she made me feel like I was her best friend. She made us all feel like we were her best friend. Everything that she just wanted to know, everything going on, and always had the time to listen and ask questions. And she told us some really great advice. She always had an opinion on our food we were eating, if it was organic, and she had these beautiful beet salads that I think Jim made for her all the time, and she'd tell us about the pizzas, and But the most important thing she shared with us was her grandchildren. Come see all the pictures. She'd bring up your pictures on the phone or on this laptop, and I feel like I know the grandchildren because of all the pictures she shared. And Di would be playing in her room on the weekends when I would come in, and she'd come over in my classroom. You probably don't remember, but she was such an important person in my life. And then after Jim died, when she'd come to school, she missed him so much. And I saw this great thing about grief, and grief is just the love that you didn't have an opportunity to tell that person when they're with you. And I would tell her that it's just, you love him so much, and I feel that way about her. I have this grief. She shows up in my dreams. I just put up a Christmas tree in my classroom she gave me. I have Jim's, one of his postal mailbox things. I probably should have it in my classroom, and just there's all these reminders of her around school, and it's the love that I will always have for her. And I'm so grateful she has been in my life and has touched me so much.
I don't need this either. I don't know where Krista is right now, but I kind of took it as a dare that Krista was telling me about how at Dianne's retirement party I didn't speak. And Dianne kept telling me I should speak, or I don't know how it went down, but I was sitting there thinking, well, this is kind of the ultimate retirement party. I should say something right now, because this is it. And all I can say is Dianne taught me what it means to really be a friend. She was there for me for every appointment I've ever had, for my eyes, which some of you know that's a sad story, and it's not one I'm going to share, but you know, I'd get done with an appointment and she'd be, when's the next one? Write it down on the calendar. Or after Jim passed and I knew she would be alone, or when she was getting sick, I'd bring her dinner, and I'm telling you, excuse my language, but they were the shittiest dinners compared to what she was eating. And I'd be like, Dianne, I'm sorry, but it's Swedish meatballs with Campbell's soup tonight. And she'd tell me how good it tasted, like it was the best stuff she had ever had. And, you know, I just felt so good about it. And when my hair was a different color and we were younger, we looked a lot alike with our blue eyes and our curly dark hair. And Dianne, when you were born, a lot of people thought I had a grandchild named Alice. And I had to explain that no, it was Dianne and her name's Dianne. So I feel so connected to her. And I'll never, ever let go of that friendship. I'll miss her every single day. I'll talk to her every day. I'll walk for her every day. And I'll always miss her. Boom.
Can I tell a story? I'm going to tell you a story of grief, and I'm going to tell you a story of gratitude. That's what we're celebrating today. Unbearable sadness and the most beautiful gratitude for this beautiful, beautiful Dianne. I met Jim and Dianne at the parent-child workshop when Matt and Caroline were in preschool. And here were these beautiful parents, beautiful children, beautiful world. Gratitude for that. Later on, I was at the high school and Dianne was at Canalino. How could we get together? Well, we became literary friends. I'd take my English classes over to Dianne's kindergarten, and we would read, we would write. Those kindergartners were just dazzled by the beautiful high schoolers. Adolescents are a strange life form. Very difficult for a lot of people to relate to happily, but kindergartners adore adolescents. True? True. And that was Dianne. Her classroom was open hearts, open minds, open books. So gratitude for the beautiful, beautiful Dianne.
Okay.
Was my dad's teacher when he was in school, and his name was Connor, but I called him Dada. Anyways, she was really kind, and I really miss us going on walks at the bluffs, because the bluffs was really pretty, and when she was around, she always made me and Baby laugh. And she was also always calling the bluffs really beautiful, really pretty, and really cool. And she would also always like make up these funny jokes that made me laugh. And one time she was at our house and she made up a joke and I literally fell off the chair laughing. And she was really nice and kind, and she would always go up to someone if they needed help, and she would also always like be really cool. And I forget what her favorite color was. But she was really kind, she was awesome, and she was really nice. Thank you.
I don't want that. Okay. Throw me out. My name's Kimmy. I have been part of the Paradis family for 20 years now. And I'm standing up here barefoot, covered in grass, and I know that Dianne and Jim would just say, "You're perfect, you're adorable, just be yourself." So that is what I'm doing. I just wanted to say thank you for everybody coming. I am so grateful for Caroline and Matt and what they were able to do for Dianne for the last year, really. I'm just absolutely amazed by what they were able to give to her. And in the last few months, just unbelievable. So I know I have told you this already, but she absolutely loved you. And to the very end, you guys took care of her like I couldn't imagine. So thank you for doing that. I remember the day that I met Caroline. I don't know if you do. We were back in college, so it was downtown San Luis. And I remember telling Matt that day, your sister is so nice. And she said, yes, she's really kind. And I just remember the day that I met you when you were so, just gave me a huge hug and said, come on, I'll find Matt for you. I'm like, I don't even know you. And she already was embracing me. And then a few months later, I met Jim and Dianne. And I basically went home to my family and went, I'm in trouble. If this does not work with Matt, I want to be part of this family. What's going to happen? They need to be my second parents. And thank goodness for myself, my family, all of us, it did work. And after Jim passed, there were so many times that I wanted to text him. The birds that I was seeing at work, something about traveling, whatever it was. And I won't think I was sad about it. I actually was like, oh, I love that I could have told him this. And I felt like he knew that I was thinking about him. And the same with Dianne. I told Caroline, I just always want to pick up the phone and just tell her something crazy that the kids are doing or whatever it is. And I think that's okay. I like thinking about them, and I, in the back of my head, can hear both of them either laughing at the shenanigans of the grandkids or saying, wow, isn't that terrific? And I'm trying to, I can hear both of them in the back of my head still, their voice and their laughter, and so I'm trying to tell the kids, your grampy would have said this, and your Grammy would have been saying XYZ, and this is how she would have said it. And so I'm trying to keep that going because it was just such a special relationship that we all had. And I was thinking the other day, actually maybe it was just this morning, something dawned on me where they both had the best laughs, where it would just come out of nowhere and they would erupt laughing. And I know that Matt is that way, and Caroline, their whole family has the best laughs, and I want Caroline and Matt to keep that always. That is your family laugh, and every time you laugh, think of your parents and your family, and life is fun, and it's not so serious, and every time we laugh, think of your parents, because they were incredible, and I just love them so much, and I'm so honored to be their second daughter. That's all I have. Thank you for this.
I'll try this out. So I had the great privilege of growing up with Paradises for about 40 years, about 40 years ago. And one thing I'm going to say is they ran a tight ship. Parents were very caring, loving people. They always welcomed their home to us, me and my brother. And, we built ramps in the front yard to do skateboarding, and I lived there till I was about 10 years old, and we made a lot of good memories. Probably had a lot of fights, a lot of fun, and I will say that it was a real privilege to grow up with you guys. And I'm sorry I wasn't able to attend your dad's funeral, but I equally love them both. They're good people. I think everybody would agree. Thank you.
Well, again, I just want to thank everyone for coming. And this is an opportunity to share our gratitude and honor a really, really wonderful woman. And we're so lucky to have all of you here to share this love for her. And we just really thank you. Again, there is a guest book. We'd love if you write us a little message. We have coffee and espresso and fancy drinks. Help yourself. Enjoy some cookies, and just appreciate that we had my mom in our lives. Thank you.